Istanbul, Turkey's largest metropole, is one of the 33 cities with the highest earthquake risk in the world. A disaster in Istanbul, the city which produces more than 40% of GDP, has the potential to affect the whole country in terms of economy. Istanbul has been preparing since 2006 with ISMEP against all disasters, particularly earthquakes. ISMEP, the Istanbul Seismic Risk Mitigation and Emergency Preparedness Project, is run by the Istanbul Project Coordination Unit under the governorship of Istanbul. ISMEP implements under three components the supportive and preventive actions for the preparation, mitigation, response and recovery activities required for the phases before, during and after the disaster. Studies that will be of vital importance in the event of a disaster are conducted under the Emergency Preparedness Capacity Building component. Communication turns into a life-saving function in earthquakes and natural disasters. This being borne in mind, within the scope of ISMEP, the infrastructure has been prepared which is required for the continuous communication of the first responders to disasters, particularly Istanbul Afad, in emergencies. For the first time in Turkey, a province-wide digital wide-area radio system has been installed. Thus, entire Istanbul has been covered in order to ensure an uninterrupted communication in the event of a disaster. Public institutions have been provided with radio systems to ensure continuous communication in the event of a disaster without the need for any other communication system. Camera systems have been installed to monitor the disaster area from Istanbul Afad Command, Control and Coordination Centers. 4x4 all-terrain communication vehicles, capable of mobility even in difficult terrain conditions, have been supplied for Istanbul Afad. The Disaster FM has gone live, which has been created within Istanbul Afad in order that all Istanbulites can access first-hand, up-to-date and accurate information uninterruptedly through conventional FM radio broadcasts. The Istanbul Governorship, Provincial Disaster and Emergency Directorate Command, Control and Coordination Centers have been established, and information flow and management between Istanbul Afad and other institutions made smoother and safer. The Command, Control and Coordination Centers established for the management of disasters on both sides of Istanbul have been designed to work in an integrated way. The Disaster Management Information System software has been developed for Istanbul Afad, which will enable all public institutions to act jointly. In order to build the institutional capacity of Istanbul Afad, two command, control and coordination centers have been built on both sides of Istanbul for the uninterrupted management of disaster. The Istanbul Afad Disaster Training Center has been built and put into service, where hands-on training can be carried out for professional search and rescue teams, experts, adults, and students. The Istanbul Disaster Response Plan, covering 15 million Istanbulites, has been created. In order to prepare Istanbul for possible disasters in the best way possible, works have been carried out to maximize the existing capacities of the public institutions and organizations which perform the first response in disasters and emergencies. In such context, a great number of technical tools and equipment have been supplied for the first responders in disasters. 13 prefabricated 112 stations have been constructed for the Istanbul Provincial Health Directorate 112 Emergency Health Services. Thanks to the capacity building activities of the National Medical Rescue Team, UMKE, and the Istanbul Afad Research and Rescue Association, it has started to provide services at international standards and received the United Nations INSARAG certificate. Setting out with the slogan of a safe city, of a safe life, IPCU has touched the lives of 7 million Istanbulites to date. It reached approximately 1.6 million people through trainings. 265,134 Istanbulites have become Safe Life volunteers. Education modules for adults and children have been prepared. 6 million educational materials have been shared with the people of Istanbul. Disaster and emergency plans were prepared for 39 pilot schools, which were reconstructed or retrofitted within the scope of ISMEP. An evacuation method and a series of communication chains have been created and announced to all parents, teachers, students, administrative staff, and employees. Under the seismic risk mitigation for priority public buildings component, public buildings, particularly school and hospital buildings, are being converted into safe, smart, modern, and environmentally friendly structures through retrofitting and reconstruction works. To date, the seismic risks of 2,589 public buildings have been evaluated, and 1,570 public buildings have been retrofitted or reconstructed against earthquakes. 29.54% of ISMEP investments were allocated to health. The three topmost major hospitals of Istanbul, with a covered area of approximately 1 million square meters, have been reconstructed and commissioned. Hospitals built with seismic isolator technology have been designed as disaster hospitals, which would provide uninterrupted service even in the event of an earthquake. Such hospitals, which enjoy sustainable engineering and architectural applications, have become Turkey's first LEED Gold Certificate candidate public hospitals, with their smart and green building features, meeting most of their own energy demand. Under completion of its construction, Kartal Dr. Lutfi Kırdar Lutfi Hospital has been entitled to receive the LEED Gold Certificate and the EDGE Certificate thanks to its green building features, and it was also awarded the first prize in the ISBS 2019 Sustainable Award Best Sustainable Practices Competition held in the USA. Professor Dr. Asaf Ataseven Hospital has been retrofitted with the seismic isolator technology applied for the first time in Turkey, whereupon it has become the world's largest healthcare facility provided with 829 seismic isolators. Zeynep Kamil Gynecology and Pediatrics Training and Research Hospital, one of the most established hospitals in Istanbul, has been redesigned as a modern hospital by increasing its technological capacity through retrofitting and strengthening and renovation works. Ümraniye Gynecology and Pediatrics Hospital has been demolished and reconstructed and come into service as an earthquake-resistant and environmentally friendly hospital. A total of 115 hospitals, polyclinics, and health center buildings have been made resistant to earthquakes. 39 dormitories, 23 social service buildings, and 57 administrative buildings have been retrofitted or reconstructed. Atatürk Student Dormitory, Turkey's largest student dormitory, has been reconstructed to build its capacity. %52% of ISMEP investments are allocated to education. 1,336 school buildings with a total area of 5.1 million square meters were retrofitted and reconstructed. Thus, 93% of the educational institutions in Istanbul that are at risk of earthquakes have been made safe against earthquakes. more than 1.7 million students have been enabled to study in safer buildings. The reconstructed schools have been designed as more contemporary, safer buildings where students enjoy laboratories, gymnasiums, libraries, lecture halls, and large playgrounds. The indoor areas of the schools have been increased by 2.5 times on average, the number of classrooms 1.8, and the number of students 1.7. Energy savings have increased by 40% in hospitals and schools. The consumption of water has decreased by 25% and that of gas by 36%. Kadıköy Atatürk Science High School, which was reconstructed against the earthquake, was awarded the LEED Platinum certificate. The school, which is capable of generating its own energy and electricity, also makes maximum use of daylight, while the waste and rainwaters are treated through collection systems and used for garden irrigation. With the retrofitting, reconstruction works, and disaster emergency plans carried out in schools within the scope of ISMEP, Turkey became the leading country in the school safety program carried out by the United Nations in 2014 and started to share its experiences with other countries. In order to protect against disasters, our cultural heritage at risk of earthquakes in Istanbul, 176 buildings in 26 building complexes have been examined, upon which the Earthquake Risk Management Guide for Historic Buildings, a first for Turkey, was created. The first conservation regulation has been prepared, which includes the basic principles for the protection of cultural and historical heritage in Turkey. Retrofitting projects have been prepared for Hagia Irene, the Archaeological Museum and the Mecidiye Mansion, and retrofitting works of the Archaeological Museum have been initiated by the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. Students, parents, and teachers in schools where retrofitting and reconstruction work will be carried out have been informed about the process through the social guidance works. Thus, a decrease of 90% has been observed in the complaints received by the District Directorate of National Education. Social guidance works have kept going in the schools, the reconstruction and retrofitting works of which were completed, and information has been provided about the newly acquired features of the schools. Under the effective implementation of zoning and building legislation component, the problems faced by municipalities in the implementation of building permit issuance and planning processes have been identified, and their support has been provided in the solution of these problems. With the pilot applications initiated at Bağcılar and Pendik municipalities, a more effective way has been achieved to implement the current building permit and inspection processes of those municipalities. In the project, which lasted for 5 years, all the documents used by the municipalities in their daily services have been organized and digitalized, and a digital zoning archive created. An electronic document management system has been established, which allows the monitoring, recording, and reporting of zoning and license processes. Thus, the period of time required for the issuance of zoning and building permits has been shortened to a considerable extent, and the provision of a transparent, traceable, and sustainable service made possible. The time to obtain construction permits has decreased from 90 days to 10 days. A call center has been established to actively monitor the status of all requests, complaints, or applications from the citizens. The public satisfaction with business processes has increased by 50%. Thanks to the project, the Bağcılar and Pendik municipalities have become the first municipalities in Turkey to receive the ISO 27001 Information Security Certification. Civil engineers have been trained on the regulations on buildings to be constructed in earthquake zones. which was prepared within the scope of the cooperation between the Republic of Turkey Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change, Civil and IPCU, and became effective in 2007. Safe City, Safe Life trainings, which include a participatory and collective approach towards reducing the risks that may arise from disasters and raising awareness of disaster preparedness, have continued at the municipalities as well. Training guides on city planning and construction for reducing disaster damages have been prepared for local administrators, technical personnel, and community representatives. In such context, 744 personnel have been trained at Bağcılar and Pendik municipalities. ISMEP, implemented by IPCU, is one of the most successful examples of the approach to take precautions before a disaster occurs. ISMEP, which has been awarded many national and international awards so far, has become the first project in our country to receive the highly satisfactory rating with the closing and final report prepared by the World Bank. IPCU has added a new one to its achievements by receiving the Lead Leadership 2021 Europe Award given by the American Green Buildings Council. With its innovative and participatory approaches which respect people and nature, IPCU keeps strengthening the future of Istanbul and Istanbulites.